I shouldn't have let Marcus push me against the wall of his garage. His grip was too firm, his breath too hot, his voice too deep. When he growled my name, my back pressed the cold metal, but my skin burned everywhere he touched. I told myself to stop, to push him away, to remind us both that we weren't supposed to want this. But then his lips hovered over mine, so close I could taste the danger, and I broke. I wanted him. God, I needed him. The way his body caged me in, the way his eyes demanded surrender, the way his hand slid lower, claiming me before I even agreed. It was reckless, wrong, but it was fire. And in that instant, I knew there was no turning back. Marcus wasn't just touching me. He was setting me on fire, and I wanted to burn for him. The first time Marcus pressed me against the cool metal wall of his garage, I thought my heartbeat might shatter the silence. His eyes burned into mine, his breath hot against my lips, and though not a single word passed between us, his body spoke louder than any confession. I wanted to resist, to step back, to ask what the hell we were doing here. Two friends, two men who had circled each other for months without ever naming what pulled us closer. But when his hand tightened at my waist, my body betrayed me. I leaned in, and in that instant, every line between us blurred into heat, hunger, and the kind of passion you don't plan, only surrender to. It started innocently enough, or at least I told myself it did. Julian, that's me, was always around Marcus's place after work. His garage was more than just four walls stuffed with tools and grease-stained rags. It was his world, a place he retreated to when the noise of life grew too loud. I liked to linger there with him, sometimes leaning against a workbench while he tightened bolts on an old motorcycle, sometimes handing him wrenches he didn't really need, just to stay close. And every time, I caught myself watching the way his forearms flexed under the strain, the way sweat beaded across his temple before sliding down his sharp jawline. Marcus was older than me, 26 to my 22, and it showed in the way he carried himself, confident without trying, grounded in a way that made me feel like I was floating whenever I was near him. He wasn't the kind of man who needed to fill silence with small talk. With Marcus, silence meant comfort, safety, a space where glances stretched too long and touches lingered too close. That night, the one that changed everything, the rain outside tapped a steady rhythm on the roof of his garage. The storm was heavy, wild even, but inside the air was hotter than I could stand. Marcus was bent over the hood of his truck, sleeves pushed up, dark hair falling messily over his forehead. I was sitting on the hood of another car, pretending to scroll my phone, but really watching him, my stomach twisting with thoughts I didn't dare admit. "Why do you always hang out here?" Marcus asked suddenly, without looking at me. His voice was low, smooth, but it carried an edge I couldn't place. I shrugged, forcing a casual tone. I liked the company. He chuckled, that deep, throaty sound that always made me weak. The company, huh? Not the smell of oil and sweat. My cheeks flushed instantly, because the truth was I liked both. I liked him, the raw masculinity, the quiet strength, the subtle way his body always seemed to gravitate toward mine even when he wasn't trying. "You ever gonna admit it, Julian?" His words cut through the air like a spark. This time he did look up, eyes locking onto me, darker than I'd ever seen them. "Admit what?" I whispered, my throat tight. "That you don't just come here to keep me company." The way he said it, calm but loaded, stripped away every excuse I'd built. My pulse hammered. My fingers gripped the edge of the hood, like I was holding on for dear life. Before I could answer, he crossed the room in 3 strides. The storm outside crashed with thunder, but it was nothing compared to the storm inside me when his hand slid to my waist, tugging me down from the hood until I was standing chest to chest with him. His scent, soap, sweat, a hint of gasoline, wrapped around me, intoxicating. "Marcus." I breathed, but the word dissolved when his thumb brushed over my hip. "You drive me crazy, you know that?" His voice was rough now, stripped of restraint. "The way you look at me, the way you act like you don't want this when I know damn well you do." My heart slammed, so hard I thought he could hear it. "And what if I do?" That was all it took. His lips crashed against mine, fierce and claiming, yet threaded with a tenderness that undid me completely. The kiss wasn't polite or hesitant. It was hungry, years of unspoken tension breaking free in a single shattering moment. His hands gripped my back, pulling me against him, and I melted into his heat like I'd been waiting for this my whole life. The garage disappeared. The storm outside, the smell of oil, the tools scattered around us. None of it mattered. All I could feel was Marcus, his body pressing me into the wall, his breath mixing with mine, his hands wandering in ways that made me forget how to breathe. When we finally broke apart, gasping, he rested his forehead against mine. "You have no idea how long I've wanted this," he whispered. My hands, trembling, found their way to his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart beneath his shirt. "Then show me," I whispered back, and he did. The rest of the night unfolded like a secret we'd both been dying to spill. Marcus wasn't just passion. He was fire wrapped in restraint. The kind of man who knew how to touch without asking, but still made me feel like I was the one choosing. His lips traced down my jaw, my neck, each brush of his breath igniting sparks under my skin. My hands roamed, learning the shape of him, the heat, the strength. Every time I thought I'd had enough, he drew me deeper, leaving me desperate for more. But it wasn't just the heat. It was the way he looked at me between kisses, like I wasn't just a body pressed against his, but something more. Someone he'd been waiting for, needing. And maybe that was why I let myself fall, harder than I ever meant to. Hours slipped by in waves of closeness, laughter in between, whispered confessions neither of us had dared to speak before. He admitted he'd noticed me watching him for months, that he'd caught the way I stared at his hands, his smile, his body. I admitted that every excuse to come over had been a cover for the truth. I wanted him, even when I told myself I couldn't. When the storm finally eased, the garage was still lit with that low yellow bulb, but everything felt different. We weren't friends dancing around tension anymore. We were something else now, something raw and undeniable. Marcus cupped my face in his hands, thumb brushing my cheek with surprising gentleness. "You're mine now," he murmured, voice thick with conviction. And for once, I didn't want to argue. I leaned into his touch, my lips finding his again, slower this time, but just as deep, because the truth was, I had been as long before he ever kissed me.